Picture this. You ask your kid to put their shoes on, nothing happens. You ask again, still nothing. You ask a third time, your voice getting a little louder now. And suddenly you realize you've said the same thing 6 times in the last 2 minutes, and your child is just standing there like you haven't said a single word. Sound familiar? What if I told you there's one simple technique that can completely change this dynamic, and it takes just 10 seconds to work? Stay with me, because this is going to transform how you communicate with your kids. Today we're talking about why your child seems to tune you out, what's actually going on inside their brain when you give them instructions, and a specific 10-second rule that parents are using right now to get their kids listening the first time they ask. Not the third time, not after yelling, the first time. Let's get into it. First, let's talk about what's really happening when your kid stares blankly at you after you ask them to do something. And I want you to hear this clearly because this might genuinely change the way you see those moments. Your child is not ignoring you on purpose. Their brain literally cannot process what you just said the way you intended it to land. Here's a way to think about it. A young child's brain has a working memory that functions like a very small cup. When you give them a multi-step instruction like clean up your toys, get your backpack, put your shoes on, and then meet me at the door, you are essentially pouring a full gallon of water into that tiny little cup. Everything overflows, and when that overflow happens, kids don't get defiant. They freeze. They go blank. They keep doing whatever they were doing before because their brain genuinely could not hold on to all that information. So when you repeat yourself louder and louder, you're not helping the cup get bigger. You're just pouring more water in. And here's where the 10-second rule becomes a complete game changer. The rule itself is simple. You give one clear, short instruction. Then you wait. You count 10 seconds silently in your head. You do not repeat yourself. You do not sigh loudly. You do not ask if they heard you. You just wait. Those 10 seconds are not wasted time. Those 10 seconds are actually doing critical work inside your child's brain. They need time to process the instruction, figure out how to respond to it, and then get their body moving to do it. A developing brain runs slower than an adult brain. That is not a character flaw. It is biology. And when you give them that 10-second window, you are working with their biology instead of fighting against it. Now, before we talk about what happens after those 10 seconds, let's make sure the instruction itself is set up for success. Because the 10-second rule only works when the instruction is actually built for the brain receiving it. For a child around 18 months old, keep it to one single step. Shoes on, that's it, one thing. For a 2-year-old, you can try 2 steps, but they need to be connected to each other. Get your shoes and put them on makes sense because both steps belong together. If you said put your shoes on and then bring me the book, that's 2 separate worlds and it's gonna be too much. Around age 3, kids can handle 2 steps that don't need to be connected. Put your shoes on, then grab your water bottle. And by about age 5, 3 short steps become manageable. Shoes on, grab your bag, meet me at the door. Match the instruction to the brain in front of you. That's the foundation. Now let's walk through the full sequence because the 10-second rule is actually part of a bigger system that makes it work. Step 1 is giving that one clear, age-appropriate instruction. Before you speak, walk over to your child, get close, say their name, and wait for them to make eye contact. Then deliver your one instruction in a calm, clear voice. Not a question, not a request with 15 words of explanation attached, just the instruction. Step 2 is the wait. This is where most parents struggle because silence feels uncomfortable. We're wired to fill it. We want to check in, remind, encourage, repeat. But the moment you repeat yourself in those 10 seconds, you've just taught your child something you didn't mean to teach them. You've taught them that the first time you say something, it doesn't actually count. So press your lips together. Count to 10 in your head. Let the silence do its work. Step 3 is what happens when the 10 seconds run out and they still haven't moved. Here's where you step in. Not with another verbal instruction, not with frustration. You physically walk over and you help them take the first small step. Point to the object. If they still don't engage, gently guide their hand to pick it up. Then guide them through the next small action. And as each tiny step happens, you name it. You picked it up. Now let's put it in. This physical follow-through is crucial because it completes the loop your child's brain started when you gave the instruction. It shows them that when you say something, something happens every time, without fail. Now I know what you might be thinking. This sounds like way more work than just repeating myself until they do it. And honestly, in the short term, yes, it takes more active effort. But here's the payoff. When you do this consistently for even just a week or two, your child starts to understand something at a deep level. When a parent says something, it means something. And that 10-second window becomes the space where they actually start to act. Not because they're scared, not because you threaten them, but because experience has taught them that this is how things work in your house. There's also something important happening on your side of this equation. When you stop repeating yourself 6 times before anything happens, your stress level drops. When you're not escalating your voice to get a response, you stay calmer. And when you stay calmer, your child's nervous system stays calmer, which means they're more capable of cooperating in the first place. It genuinely becomes a positive cycle instead of a chaotic one. Let's also talk about the language piece because the words you choose inside that instruction make a significant difference. Try to frame instructions as things to do rather than things to stop doing. Instead of telling your child not to run, say walking feet. Instead of stop throwing, say place it gently. When you tell a young brain what not to do, it has to work out the puzzle of what you actually want instead. When you tell them exactly what to do, cooperation becomes much easier because success is clearly defined. And timing matters too. Vague words like later or in a minute mean nothing concrete to a child under 5. Their sense of time doesn't work the way ours does. If you want to reduce the repeated asking and whining that comes after you've said no or not yet, tie your timing to something in their real world. After dinner, after bath, when the show is done. Now they can picture it, they can anchor to it, and the endless loop of asking tends to quiet down because they actually understand when something is going to happen. So let's bring this all together into something you can start using today. Pick one part of your daily routine that feels like a battle. Getting out the door in the morning, clean up before dinner, getting ready for bed. Take that routine and rewrite the instruction you normally give to match your child's age and brain capacity. Trim it down, make it one thing, maybe 2 if they're older. Then when that moment comes, get close to your child, get their attention, say the instruction once clearly, and then count 10 seconds silently. If they move, stay quiet and let them follow through. If they don't, step in calmly and help them take the first physical step without repeating the instruction. Do this consistently for 1 week, not perfectly. Consistently. You will start to see a shift. The dynamic between you and your child around listening will genuinely begin to change. And you'll feel less like you're shouting into a void and more like a parent whose words actually land. Your child is not trying to drive you crazy. They're just working with a brain that's still under construction. The 10-second rule is not about discipline. It's about understanding what your child's brain needs to actually receive and act on what you're saying. Work with that brain and everything gets a little easier. If this helped you see your child's behavior differently today, share this with another parent who needs to hear it. And drop a comment below telling me about the moment this week when you tried the 10-second rule. I've linked a resource in the description below that I think you'll find really helpful.